Pamela and Michael Mayfield, ages 5 and 6 respectively, were both kindergarten students in the 1984 through 1985 school year. While Pamela was a first-time kindergarten student, this was Michael's second time at the grade level. Due to concerns about his emotional maturity, his school and family had agreed that it would be best for Michael to repeat kindergarten before advancing to first grade. Both siblings were enrolled at Betsy Ross Elementary School, which was just a short walk from their home in Houston, Texas. The children's home was full of family. They, along with their mother Cynthia, lived with their grandmother, as well as one of their aunts and a cousin. Since they lived so close to their school, their mother would occasionally allow them to walk home from school by themselves. When they asked permission to do so on January 10, 1985, Cynthia said yes. Her 2 children would never make it home that day. Witnesses reported seeing Michael and Pamela playing in a playground at an apartment complex that was on their route home from school. Later in the afternoon, witnesses saw the 2 children getting into the back of a green car. The car was being driven by a man, but no one who saw him recognized him. Pamela and Michael appeared to have been abducted. This conclusion was questioned 4 months after the 2 siblings went missing, however. A man called police and told them that Pamela and Michael were not missing at all. Rather, they were staying with family in Los Angeles. The Mayfields did have family in LA, but authorities spoke with them and did not find Michael and Pamela to be with them. The caller's claims having been discredited, Michael and Pamela's case is officially considered a non-family abduction. If they are still alive, as of 2018, Michael will be 40 and Pamela will be 39. Monday, November 23, 1992, got off to a rough start for the Sutton family. The 3 children in the family missed the bus and had to walk to school. After dropping their younger brother George off at his school, the 2 oldest children, Chad, 16, and Melony, 14, began walking to their own school. However, they never made it there. After Chad and Melony went missing, it was discovered that they had been planning to hitchhike from Inala, the suburb of Brisbane, Australia, where they lived with their mother, all the way to Perth. Both their biological father and their maternal grandmother lived in Perth, so the 2 siblings could have been planning to visit either one of them. If Chad and Melony did begin to hitchhike across the country, they could have met with foul play or succumbed to the elements almost anywhere in Australia. However, not everyone believes that Chad and Melony made it very far from home. In 2017, Claire Snow, a classmate of Chad and Melony, spoke with the press about her belief that the siblings could have been killed by a local trio of bullies. The 3 bullies were known to beat up both Chad and Melony regularly. They were highly violent, according to Miss Snow, who herself was once hit over the head with a plank of wood by these bullies. The trio was further emboldened by their families, who would often accompany them when they would come to the Sutton home to further torment Melony and Chad. Miss Snow believes these bullies and their families to be capable of killing. She further claims that the bullying would escalate if any of the trio's targets would fight back, and that just prior to his disappearance, Chad Sutton lashed back at his tormentors with a bat in self-defense. According to Miss Snow, the main rumor at Inala High School following Chad and Melony's disappearance was that they had been killed by the bullies and their families, and their bodies had been hidden out in the bush. This area was later developed for housing, and no sign of Chad or Melony's remains were found in the process. If the Sutton siblings did meet with foul play close to home, their remains were hidden elsewhere. In 2016, Chad and Melony's mother, Marie, died of a massive heart attack at age 52. Her mother, Jean Turek, believes Marie's early death was really the result of a broken heart over the loss of Chad and Melony. Chad and Melony's father has also passed away since their disappearance. Their grandmother still hopes to one day make Chad and Melony's favorite roast dinner for them. Faloma and Maleina Luhk grew up on the island of Saipan in the Northern Mariana Islands. The sisters, who were only a year apart in age, were inseparable. 10-year-old Faloma was in the 3rd grade, and 9-year-old Maleina in the 2nd grade, at Cagman Elementary School. On the morning of May 25, 2011, the girls were seen waiting for the bus to school at a bus shelter near their home in Asteo. The girls never arrived at school. Both of the girls' teachers were surprised that Faloma and Maleina were not in school that day. They had each only missed a day or two of school the entire year. Furthermore, that day, Faloma's class was scheduled to cook some local dishes as part of class. Her teacher was surprised that Faloma would miss the activity she had so been looking forward to. However, the policy in public schools on Saipan does not instruct teachers to call home about an absent student until he or she has missed 3 consecutive days of class. Therefore, the girl's family did not realize that they were missing until they failed to return home after school. Northern Mariana Island investigators were assigned to the case, as well as FBI agents out of the Honolulu field office, as the Northern Mariana Islands are a U.S. Commonwealth. The day after the girls went missing, agents began a 4-day search of a local landfill. After searching over 30,000 cubic feet of trash, investigators found no evidence linked to the missing girls. A tracking dog from Hawaii's Civil Defense Agency was flown in to search for the girls in the thick jungles on Saipan. When Faloma and Maleina went missing, they had been living with their maternal grandparents. Their mother was based in Guam, and their father, a former law enforcement officer on Saipan, was living in the Federated States of Micronesia. This opened the possibility that Faloma and Maleina had been taken by one of their parents as part of a custody dispute. Investigators traveled to speak with the girls' parents and search with their homes, but there was no evidence that either parent had taken the girls. In 2014, the FBI released age-progressed photos of both sisters. They launched a media campaign in Hawaii, Oregon, and Washington state. Agents did not have any indication that Faloma and Maleina were in any of those states. However, all 3 states did have large communities of people originally from the Northern Mariana Islands. The FBI hoped that by expanding the area they were looking for witnesses in, they might finally receive the tip they needed to solve the case. However, that tip never came from this outreach. In 2018, local police and the FBI used a backhoe to dig up an area behind the home of the late Anna Crisostomo after receiving a tip that the remains of Faloma and Maleina were buried there. Ms. Crisostomo was the mother of Joseph A. Crisostomo, who had been sentenced in 2014 to life in prison for the murder of Emerita Romero. While Crisostomo had a criminal record that went back even prior to the Romero murder, that fact exonerated him in Faloma and Maleina's disappearance, rather than making him a stronger suspect. He had been incarcerated at the time Faloma and Maleina went missing. The 5-year prison term he had been serving at the time did not end until December 2011, 7 months after the girls disappeared. The search did not turn up any remains or any evidence in Faloma or Maleina's disappearance whatsoever. The search therefore did little except for upsetting both families involved. Albert Quitigua, the girl's grandfather, alleges that his family was not informed of the search by police. They instead learned of it from online media outlets. The news that authorities were searching for remains was upsetting for the entire family and traumatizing for the girl's mother. The Crisostomo family also was upset over the suspicion that the search placed them under and the damage to their property that it caused. 2 of Anna's adult children and their families had been living at the property at the time of the search. One of those children, Annie Crisostomo, alleges that the search unfairly connected her family to Faloma and Maleina's disappearance and was done by police to shame the entire family. The family filed a motion in Superior Court to unseal the supporting documents used to obtain the search warrant used to search their property. So as to protect the investigation into Faloma and Maleina's disappearance, they are willing to submit to a gag order in regards to any documents they and their counsel are provided with. The legal proceedings are ongoing. As of 2018, the girl's case is still open and leads are still actively being investigated. On the 7th anniversary of Faloma and Maleina's disappearance, their family held a mass of special intention at the Santa Soledad Church. Despite years without knowing where Faloma and Maleina are, their grandfather continues to pray that answers will come in the next few years and end the family's pain. In June of 1974, the Leslie family made the decision to move 300 miles from Page, Arizona to Mesa. Jack Leslie was suffering from terminal lung cancer, and living in Mesa meant that he could be closer to his doctors. He and his wife Irma had 3 daughters, but their oldest daughter, Linda, was married and living in Tucson with her husband and 2 children. Their youngest 2 daughters, Cindy, 15, and Jackie, 13, made the move to the Desert Sands mobile home community with them. On the night of July 31st, 1974, Jack and Irma attended church together. They left Cindy and Jackie at home with their grandmother. However, when Jack and Irma returned home, the girls were not there. According to their grandmother, Cindy had answered a phone call earlier in the evening. She and her sister had left a note reading, "Mom, we've gone to babysit in the same place," and they both left the house. Irma decided to sleep on the couch so she would wake up when the girls came home. They never did. When Irma awoke in the morning, she called the police. Initial searches for Cindy and Jackie took place in the orange groves that surrounded their neighborhood. Searchers were unable to locate any physical evidence. When Maricopa County Sheriff's deputies began investigating the note the girls left, they looked for the family the girls could have been going to babysit for. They found no family that claimed to have hired the girls. A few days after the girls went missing, their mother learned a potential reason why. It appeared that Cindy and Jackie used babysitting as a cover story, so they could go to a party 3 blocks from their home. Interviewing the people at the party did little to help investigators. Some witnesses said the girls were at the party, some said they never arrived, and some claimed that they made it to the party but only stayed there briefly. It has therefore been difficult for investigators to develop a solid timeline of the girls' movements once they left home. The lack of physical evidence and the uncertainty over Cindy and Jackie's actions on the night they disappeared made developing leads in their case very difficult for police. Jack Leslie passed away in the spring of 1975, less than a year after his girls went missing. While their father died not knowing what happened to Cindy and Jackie, their mother has spent the past 4 decades trying to avoid the same fate. Irma Leslie eventually remarried and moved to Nevada. She has traveled extensively throughout the western United States, following up on reported sightings of her 2 daughters. Irma and her daughter Linda have both submitted DNA samples to the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office in hopes that one day those samples will help them get answers in the case. As of 2018, Jackie and Cindy's fate remains unknown.